Come closer, little ones. Rest your backs against the roots of this old olive. Feel how cool the earth is even in the heat of the day. The sun is high, the cicadas sing their long song, and the fruit hangs heavy above us. Today I will tell you of Dionysus, the god who walks between joy and wildness, the one who taught men and women the secret of the vine, the twice-born who carries both laughter and danger in his eyes. Long before the temples of stone stood on the hills, before the great cities rose and the roads were beaten hard by many feet, there was a mortal woman named Semele. She was the daughter of Cadmus, king of Thebes, and she was beautiful in the way that makes even the gods turn their heads. Zeus, the thunder-bearer, the king of all the gods, looked upon her and loved her. He came to her in secret, in the shape of a man, and she believed him when he said he was a mortal traveler. But Hera, the queen of the gods, was jealous. She never forgets a slight, and she never forgives a rival. Hera came to Semele disguised as an old nurse, kind-faced and soft-spoken. She sat with the young woman and listened to her happiness, then planted a seed of doubt. "If your lover is truly a god," she whispered, "ask him to show himself as he truly is, in all his glory, with the lightning and the storm about him. Only then will you know he has not lied." Semele, proud and trusting, believed the old woman. When Zeus came again, she begged him to grant her one wish. He swore by the Black River Styx that he would give her whatever she asked. Then she spoke the words Hera had taught her. Zeus's face grew dark with sorrow. He tried to turn her from the request, but a swear by the Styx cannot be broken. So he came to her as the storm itself, lightning flashing from his eyes, thunder rolling from his chest, the full power of the sky pouring into the small mortal room. Semele's body could not bear it. She perished in fire and light, her mortal form burned away in an instant. But the child within her was not yet ready to be born. Zeus, grieving and desperate, reached into the flames and took the unborn boy. He opened his own thigh and sewed the child inside, close to his immortal heart, and carried him there for the remaining months until the time of birth came again. When Dionysus was born a second time from the thigh of Zeus, the gods looked upon him and named him the twice-born. Hera still hated the child and sought his life, so Zeus gave the infant in secret to the nymphs of Mount Nysa, far away in the wild green places where the ordinary roads do not reach. There, among the tall trees and the clear streams, the boy grew. The nymphs raised him with soft hands and wild songs. They fed him on honey and the milk of mountain goats. Satyrs, half-goat, laughing creatures with pointed ears and restless feet, danced around his cradle and taught him the first steps of the dance. Silenus, the oldest and wisest of the satyrs, became his teacher and his friend, telling him stories of the gods and the earth while they sat in the shade of the vines. It was in those forests that Dionysus first tasted the grape. He watched the clusters swell from green to purple under the sun. He learned how to plant the vine, how to prune it so the strength went into the fruit, how to crush the grapes underfoot in great wooden vats, while the juice ran dark and sweet. He learned to let the juice sleep in clay jars until it woke as something new, wine. When he drank, something entered the world that had not been there before. Joy rose in the chest and made the feet move without command. Laughter came from the belly instead of the throat. For a little while sorrow was forgotten, and the heart felt light as a bird. Dionysus shared the gift freely with the nymphs and the satyrs. Wherever he walked, the vines followed him, curling around trees and rocks, opening their leaves to the light. Flowers sprang up in his footsteps. The earth itself seemed to smile. But Dionysus was never only sweetness. He was the wild god, the one who reminds us that life is larger than the walls we build around it. His followers were the Maenads, women who heard the call of the ivy and left their looms, their houses, and their ordinary days. They crowned themselves with leaves of vine and oak, tied the skins of fawns about their shoulders, and carried the thyrsus, a long staff tipped with a pine cone and wound with ivy. When the frenzy took them, they danced until the mountains rang with their cries. They ran barefoot through the forests, and the earth itself seemed to answer them. With them came the satyrs, piping on reed flutes, leaping and laughing, their goat legs never still. The god himself walked among them wearing a crown of living vine leaves and a cloak of leopard skin. His eyes held both kindness and a dangerous light, the light of something that cannot be tamed. He traveled far beyond the lands the Greeks knew. To the east he went, teaching the making of wine to peoples who had never tasted it. He crossed rivers and mountains, and the vines followed. Kings who welcomed him found their lands growing richer and their people happier. Kings who scorned him or tried to drive him away learned the cost of denying the wild joy. One such was Lycurgus of Thrace, who hated the new god and attacked the Maenads with his men. Dionysus struck him with madness, so that Lycurgus, thinking the vines were enemies, cut down his own son with an axe. When the madness lifted, the king saw what he had done, and the land itself rejected him. Another was Pentheus, king of Thebes, the very city of Dionysus's mortal mother. Pentheus refused to honor the new god. He called the dances shameful and the wine a poison. He locked Dionysus in chains and threw him into a dark cell. But chains cannot hold the twice-born. The palace shook as if the earth itself were angry. The doors flew open. Dionysus walked free, calm and smiling, while the women of the city, including Agave, the king's own mother, were taken by the sacred frenzy. They ran to the mountains, crowned with leaves, and in their madness they saw Pentheus, who had gone to spy on them, as a mountain lion. They tore him apart with their bare hands. When the haze lifted and Agave saw what she carried in her arms, there was only grief that could not be spoken. Dionysus did not laugh then. He only looked upon the ruin he had allowed and turned away, for even the wild god knows the weight of what is broken. Yet the stories of Dionysus are not only of blood and madness. He is the god who softens the hard edges of life. It was he who gave the gift of theater, where men and women put on masks and stand before the people and tell the old tales, so that the heart may feel what it cannot say in ordinary days. In the theater, the audience laughs and weeps together, and for a time the walls between one soul and another grow thin. He is also the one who has walked with the dead and returned. In his youth, the Titans, those ancient enemies of the gods, lured him with toys and tore him apart. They boiled his body in a cauldron, but the goddess Athena saved his heart and carried it to Zeus. From that heart, Zeus made him whole again. So Dionysus is the god of rebirth, of what is broken and made new, of the seed that dies in the ground and rises as the green shoot. There is another story the old ones tell. Once Dionysus was captured by pirates who saw a beautiful youth on the shore and thought to sell him as a slave. They bound him and set sail, but the god only smiled. Vines began to grow from the mast and the oars, heavy with grapes. Ivy wound around the ship until the sailors could not move. The air filled with the sound of flutes. Then Dionysus changed his shape and became a lion, roaring on the deck. The terrified pirates leapt into the sea and were changed into dolphins, who still leap and play as if remembering the day they tried to cage a god. And there is Ariadne, the princess of Crete, who helped the hero Theseus escape the labyrinth. Theseus left her sleeping on the island of Naxos. When she woke alone and wept, Dionysus found her. He lifted her up and made her his wife, setting her crown among the stars, so that even now, when the night is clear, you can see the corona borealis shining, the crown of Ariadne, a gift from the god of the vine. Listen carefully, children. Dionysus teaches that life is not only order and duty and the straight road from morning to night. There must be room for the dance, for the song that rises without words, for the cup passed from hand to hand under the stars. There must be room for joy that makes the feet move and the heart forget its heaviness for a little while. But he also teaches that the wild must be honored, not feared blindly, and never denied. Those who try to cage joy too tightly, who refuse the gift of release, may find that the wild turns fierce and tears down the walls they built. When the harvest comes and the grapes hang heavy on the vines, when the first wine is poured and the village gathers in the evening, remember him. When the music starts and the feet will not stay still, remember him. When sorrow sits heavy on the heart and the days feel too long, remember that even the god of the vine has known loss and fire and the dark, and still he walks the earth offering the cup of forgetting for a little while, and the promise that what is broken can be made new. That is the story of Dionysus, the twice-born, the bringer of the vine, the god who wears both the smile and the leopard skin. Keep it in your hearts the way this old olive keeps its oil, quietly, deeply, and for a long time. Let it grow in you the way the vine grows, reaching for the light even when the ground is hard.